Greetings, Redheads. Thank you for joining me in another episode of your favorite show, the one, the only Red's View. I am your gracious host, Jay Red, and I want to go over the hottest topic that has been talked about from last week all the way up into this week. He's the most talked about rapper at this point. Goes by the name, you might know him as DaBaby. And DaBaby hasn't been recent controversy, of course. You've heard me talking about him with DJ PM on the last couple of episodes. And if you follow me on TikTok, you also saw what I had to say about how this could be a part of the plan. But so I want to talk about what happened today. What happened today is that he apologized. They said this may have been his third apology, but he officially apologized to the LGBT community. That's right. Some people call them the alphabet people, whatever, it's crazy. But he apologized to the LGBT community for his homophobic rants, and I'm doing this for a reason, I'll get into it, but his homophobic rant remarks that he made at the Rolling Loud Festival. And also he apologized again to the members of the HIV, victims of HIV and AIDS and everything like that. Now, for those who've been under a rock, I'm not going to go over everything with you. If you haven't been hearing about it right now, something is really wrong with you. So I'm just going to go into my thoughts about it, and I want to have an open dialogue, a discussion about this. Now, before I get into this video, make sure that you subscribe to youtube.com/RedsView. Hit the like button or the dislike button. It's all good as long as we get some interaction. But so also before I begin this video, I want to talk to open-minded people. Not anybody who's trying to paint a narrative or trying to force their opinions on other people. I want to have an open discussion because we get a lot of trolls and a lot of people who come in and just want to push their narrative without any type of discussion. This isn't for you, go ahead, go somewhere else. Sensitive people, this isn't for you, go somewhere else. I really don't care, all right? So I want to talk about it. Like, the fact that he apologized to the gay LGBT community, right? Was everything fake outrage? Was this fake outrage? Because we've heard people say worse. I'm questioning if what he said was truly homophobic and just some other things. So let's talk about this. So he said this stuff that was homophobic, right? And he's been dropped from festivals. I forgot all of the festivals that he's been dropped out for, but Lollapalooza, they dropped him from a festival or some UK festival. Well, they said they didn't drop him. It was some scheduling conflict, but it's been like 2 or 3 festivals that have came out, spoken out against DaBaby and said that, they're about diversity and they don't support artists that don't support diversity or whatever, right? And I'm like, okay, I get it, right? Somebody says something that's deemed homophobic. You want to cancel, well, I ain't gonna say cancel, but you want to remove them from performing. All fine and dandy. I have no issues with that, rightfully so. If somebody says something that is homophobic or offends the gay community, they should be dropped from that based off of the company standards with diversity, right? It's supposed to be for everybody. I am full in agreement with that. My only issue is that DaBaby, what he raps about, okay? Let's talk about what DaBaby's content is about, okay? DaBaby calls women, black women, bitches, right? And hoes, all this shit, right? Some deem what he raps about as misogynistic, right? He says nigger all the time in all of his raps. He talks about killing niggas, killing black men in his raps, killing people, right? Genocide. He talks about all of this. He calls a woman a bitch in damn near every song that he made. He got a song right now called Masterpiece. My new bitch is a masterpiece. I ain't even got to be funny. When I tell a joke, she's still gonna laugh at me. She still suck my dick when she's mad at me, right? And in the song, he also says, I got a new boo thing. I put my Glock in her purse and say, you my bitch now. He says, you're my bitch now. I don't mean to be offensive. I just talk different. Right now, I'm paraphrasing what he said. So these are the lyrics of DaBaby, right? I hope I haven't been saying Lil Baby, but DaBaby. These are the lyrics that he raps in his songs. So the same stage the same festivals, the same stage that he's going to be on, and raps these lyrics about black genocide, calling black women bitches, all this shit, right? You'll let him perform those lyrics and perform those songs. But if he says something about the gay community, oh no, he has to be dropped. You know what I'm saying? Like you're letting him do that negativity, right? And I'm not saying what's right and what's wrong. If we're going to call him out for the LGBT remarks, we need to call him out for everything. And he's been dropped like from endorsements, like I forgot the brand of the clothing line. Let me know in the comments what the Boohoo or whatever it's called, I forgot. But they dropped him, his clothing line deal got dropped, right? So they dropped him for his lyrics about, I mean not the lyrics, but what he stated on the stage at the Rolling Loud about homophobia, right? Homophobic remarks. But he talks about killing black men, calling black women hoes, bitches, all this stuff, right? In his lyrics that are hit records, by the way, that have went platinum, by the way. This is what his career is built off of, right? And he's in the media. I mean, he's seen fighting dudes, you know what I'm saying? Like beating people up and actually kill somebody at a Walmart, all this stuff. But he can still perform at your venue. So that raises the question, why are things one-sided? I'm calling out Lollapalooza. I'm calling out all these festivals and the clothing line, his endorsements, all that. So y'all let him depict this image of the black man in a negative light. But when it comes to the LGBT community, he can't say anything or everything gets dropped. How come is it that you can't say, I mean, well, you shouldn't be able to say it, but how come is it that you can't say nothing about this community, but you can say something about this community and everything is all good? Help me understand that. And this isn't in no shape or form trying to disrespect the LGBT community or whatever. They should have their rights just like everybody else has their rights, right? Especially black people in the LGBT, because you're black first, right? So I'm just raising that question. Why? How come this is able to happen, but you know what I'm saying? So that's the first thing. Second thing is, we have a rapper, a white rapper, one of the most successful rappers, if not sales-wise, the most successful rapper of all time, Eminem. Eminem has dropped the F-bomb. I say the F-bomb. I'm not going to say that word. That was discriminating against homosexuals and everything like that, but you should know the F word I'm talking about. He dropped that in several songs. Still to this day, I think he still be using it, right? But it was outrage at that particular time, but Elton John, who called out the baby, actually came on stage and hugged Eminem. And Eminem proceeded to still use the F-bombs in his lyrics. This was years after that MTV performance or whatever that was, right? So how is it that a white rapper was able to disrespect the LGBT community? Not saying that they didn't hold him accountable, but Eminem wasn't dropped from any festivals. Eminem's clothing line and everything else, like 8 Mile was a big movie. You know what I'm saying? Eminem sold millions of records, right? And had a bunch of endorsements. But he was rapping about what you would consider hate speech. So is it the fact that it's a black artist that said all this that you have an issue with? My question is, what if it was a white artist? Would they still be held accountable? Now I know that things are different from where they were back then, but we gotta, come on now. We can't just be one-sided with this thing. Eminem has said way worse, which goes to my next thing. Was what the baby said really homophobic? And I had somebody in my comments, try to paint a narrative of, the fact that I'm not into the LGBT community, I can't deem what's homophobic or whatnot. And I'm going by the definition. Phobia means that you're fearful or you're scared of something, right? Arachnophobia means that you're scared of spiders, right? Homophobia would mean that you are afraid of gay people or, all that. So my thing is, when you say homophobia, I would think that if you say, hey, I don't like gays, I don't want to be around them, all this other stuff, right? But take it back to what the baby actually said on stage. He said, if you're not giving fellatio in the parking lot, fellas, if you're not giving fellatio in the parking lot, make some noise, And then his DJ did say, some of y'all are suspect. Now, I'm not defending anything that he actually said, at all. I'm not defending it. It was random. It's like, why would you say that anyway? But we have heard that. If you went to an HBCU and you heard, ladies, if your pussy clean, make some noise. If you ain't got STDs, HIV, make some noise. But he did go too far with the HIV line, and it was out of nowhere. But, you know, it didn't seem what he said was actually homophobic. That's why I feel like this outrage is a really outrage, because he says way worse things about black people, his community, but he still is able to travel around the world to perform, sell records. So that's a question that we really have to ask, and I want to have an open discussion about it, okay? So was what he said really that? Do you feel that what he said was just too far and it deserves all this negative attention that he's been receiving? Because I think that, you know, what he definitely said about the HIV and AIDS thing, that was too much. What he said about the sucking dick in the parking lot, all that other stuff, I was trying not to say it, but you know, that was too much. But I don't know, man. It just seems like this is a whole lot. You know, now you got Madonna and Elton John, everybody calling him out. So was it that deep? Was it that serious, right? To where everybody from the LGBT community is just going at him, you know? Kevin Hart, I understood why they made him apologize, because even though it was years ago, he was supposed to host the Oscars, but they digged in his tweets from years ago and found that he was making jokes about homosexuals. So I get that. He was actually making a joke about it, but the baby, I don't know if that was his real intention, if he was trying to do it, but come on, man. But bottom line, he issued an apology to the LGBT community and the HIV community again. I mean, not community, but victims of HIV. And he made that apology. They forced it to happen with him, you know, or he felt the pressure. Which goes into my next thing. Was this all a part of the plan? Now, like I said, if you follow me on TikTok, I broke this down. And I'm going to break it down on here just so, you know, we can have a discussion about it. So controversy creates cash, CCC. Eric Bischoff, if you know him, he was in World Championship Wrestling. He helped have it rival with WWF, which is WWE at the time. But I read his book. It was called Controversy Creates Cash. Anytime that is controversy, some people say all publicity is good publicity, whether good or bad. The baby is known for being controversial. Since I've heard about him, he's always in the news for something ignorant, something crazy, you know what I'm saying? And this doesn't, I'm talking about a man that actually wore a diaper to promote his brand in the beginning, when he was baby Jesus or something like that. So he's been on the marketing tip forever. If you look at his videos are always over the top, especially the recent one that he just dropped. So I want to know, was this all on purpose? He signed to a major record label, which is Interscope Records. He's also been hanging with 50 Cent lately. 50 Cent called his latest album that's about to come out a classic. So was all of this by design? You know what I'm saying? Now, your question would be, well, J-Red, why would he want to put his career on the line? First of all, I don't think that his career is going anywhere. I think it's going to stay there. And if anything, he's got more popular from this, right? Let's go to the Rolling Loud performance again. He says all that random stuff, right? And then he brings out Tory Lanez directly after Megan Thee Stallion. Now, you know that him and Tory Lanez have collaborated together, and then him and Megan Thee Stallion have had exchanges back on Twitter. Having Tory Lanez come out directly after Megan Thee Stallion was going to make headlines. So that's one. Another thing, right? Now, also, I'm looking at my notes again. He had Elton John and some other celebrities like Questlove, but Elton John, one of pop's biggest stars, who actually happens to be a part of the LGBT community, and Madonna. Madonna is a pop icon, but both of them have called out the baby. And my question, I was like, dang, they called him out? I'm surprised they knew who he was. So this is a whole different demographic that he's reaching, that may be listening to hip hop, may not, but it's clickbait. You're gonna want to see, if you don't know who he is, you're gonna want to see who he is. And if you happen to be a rap fan, you're like, oh, I know, he sounds pretty good. Controversy can create cash, because I guarantee you, the people that didn't know the baby went to his platforms, the streaming platforms, and listen on Apple Music and Spotify, and I bet you his streams have spiked up. They probably haven't reported it yet, but you got two of the biggest names in music that called you out on something negative, but they called you out. So it's a lot of people that know who you are now. So was this all a part of the plan? If he trolled the LGBT community like Lil Nas X trolls the heterosexual community, and let's be serious, he does, right? Because his videos seem like, how gayer can I go? Last video was gay, I want to go gayer, right? Which he has the freedom to do that, but it seems like, it is what it is. Lil Nas X makes a career off of his sexuality, you know, more power to him, but I mean, come on, man. So do you think that, do you think he took a page out of Lil Nas X's book and decided, hey, I'm already controversial anyway, I got an album coming out, 50 Cent calls it a classic, who is one of the biggest trolls ever, why don't I troll the LGBT community and get that outrage? I don't know if he thought Madonna and everybody was gonna come out and do all this, but yeah, so I just raised the question, was this for a reason? He apologizes to the LGBT community, now what's next? You know, will he collab with Lil Nas X again? I think they collabed on one song before, but that's before Lil Nas X was how he is now, right? He came out at that time, you know, displaying his sexuality, but right now it's like, you know, he makes a lot of different videos with promoting, you know, his sexuality. So, you know, but these are questions that I want to have answers to, but let me know in the comments what you think, and please be open-minded, be respectful, okay? Follow the YouTube guidelines, community guidelines. But anyway, man, this is J Red from Red's View. Please subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/RedsView. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok at JAYR3D. And like I said, hit the like button or the dislike button. It's all good as long as we get some interaction. And this is J Red, Red's View. I'm signing out.